Hello, welcome to Papa Nick's Music. I am, as always, your host, Papa Nick Lewis. And this week we are continuing our dive into comfort food media. Last week I talked about my comfort food TV shows. These are the TV shows that I watch over and over and over and over again because they make me feel like all is right with the world. This week we're talking about movies. Same thing though. These are movies that I have seen a bazillion times and will continue to watch them because there is comfort that I get from seeing a movie when I know where all the surprises are. I know how it's going to work out. It's safe. It's wonderful. I love comfort food movies. These are my 10 favorite comfort food movies. Now, I'm putting this in the form like the TV shows last week. I'm putting this in the format of a top 10 so that I can give myself an excuse to drink some wonderful Schofferhofer, because the top 10 series here at Papa Nick's Music is unofficially sponsored by Schofferhofer beer. If you like Hefeweizen beer and grapefruit soda, oh, you're gonna love Schofferhofer. That's good beer. But I'm not really saying that my number one is my best and my number 10 is my worst. I'm not making an evaluative judgment here. If there is an order to the movies today, just like the TV shows last week, it's how likely I am to watch it again. Not whether I think it's worth watching 1,000 more times. It's just, okay, if I'm going to pick one right now, which of these, which is the first one I'm going to pick, right? Which is the one that I've picked more frequently in the past. And because I'm not saying that these are the best movies or these are my favorite movies or anything like that, then I'm not going to worry about the subjectivity notice. Ooh, 2 weeks in a row without the subjectivity notice. However will I cope? These are just the things that I consume when I want comfort. Okay? Not saying they're good, not saying they're bad, not saying they're the best or anything like that. So we don't need to worry about subjectivity. Now, these are my top 10 comfort food movies. Now, just like last week, I've got an honorable mention. Last week I had an honorable mention and some runners-up. This week it's just an honorable mention. And it's an honorable mention for historical value. My honorable mention is Star Wars. Now, this is the complete saga. Ooh. But I'm just talking about the first movie, okay? I'm old enough that I don't think of it as Chapter 4, A New Hope. No, it's Star Wars. There was Star Wars, and then there was Empire Strikes Back, and then there was Return of the Jedi, and then everything got weird. Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, I think, are both fantastic movies. Return of the Jedi wrapped up the story. Not as good a movie, but I'm not going to quibble with that. But here's the thing about Star Wars. When I was young, my father worked for an oil drilling company and spent quite a lot of my youth living overseas. And I had the opportunity to live overseas a couple of times because of this. And I spent a summer with my brother. We went to stay with my parents in Nigeria. I have talked about this before. This was the summer when I burned out on the Kiss album Love Gun, and to this day I cannot listen to Love Gun. It's just... it was a summer where we didn't have a whole lot to do, and so we did the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I listened to Love Gun a few thousand times, and as a result I can't stand it anymore. But I also listened to ELO's Out of the Blue a few thousand times, and it is still one of my favorite albums, right? And I'm bringing this up because one of the things I did a few thousand times that summer, okay, a few thousand, that's hyperbole, but my brother and I actually did a count. We figured it up, and we figured that we watched Star Wars probably 75 to 80 times over the course of that summer. My dad had a couple of very primitive VCRs. This is the late 70s. VCR technology had not really advanced. These were top loaders, and the discs only went for an hour, right? And he would get a movie, and I hope the statute of limitations is up on this crime. He would bootleg it so that he could send copies of the movies out to the different rigs that his company was operating there in the Port Harcourt, Nigeria area. And every once in a while, if there was a movie that he liked, he'd make a copy for himself. And one of the movies that he made a copy of was Star Wars. And so my brother and I, because we were there all summer and we were bored out of our minds, we watched Star Wars pretty much every day over the course of that summer. We got to the point where we could recite the movie dialogue. We could, pick a scene and we could do it. We'd have to switch off characters, whoever would do it. I knew the dialogue well enough that I could actually do Greedo's lines, okay? I don't remember them now other than Sin Botole or something like that. It's been too long since I've tried to do it. But back then, man, I knew this movie backwards and forwards. I knew all the dialogue. I knew every facial expression. I knew everything about this. It is imprinted in my DNA. I don't watch it too much now, but it was the very first thing that I binge watched. So, honorable mention goes to Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Okay, here's my top 10. My number 10 movie that I love watching, I've seen it 1,000 times, and I will see it 1,000 more times before I call it a day, and that is Murphy's Romance, starring James Garner and Sally Field. I mentioned last week when I was talking about The Rockford Files, James Garner is probably my favorite actor, and I love this movie. He got robbed. He should have gotten an Oscar for this instead of just a nomination. It's a wonderful story. He's not quite... well, actually, he's pretty much right at the age that he plays. Sally Field, there's no way that she's, just pushing 30 here. I'm sorry. That doesn't work. But the script is good. The performances are good, especially James Garner's performance. I love watching Murphy's Romance. Number 10 on my list of comfort food movies. Number 9, I've got a 4-way tie because I love Star Trek movies. And here I'm talking about the even-numbered Star Trek movies with the original cast plus Search for Spock. So Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, which I have here, Star Trek 3, Search for Spock, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, and Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. I love these movies. I'm holding up Wrath of Khan because it was the one that I grabbed off of the shelf. I probably should hold up Undiscovered Country because I think I've seen it more than the rest of them. It's probably the one I've rewatched the most. But all 4 of these I love. I just here a couple of months ago went through the entire Star Trek universe until I got to the last couple Next Generation movies, and then my interest waned. I couldn't quite bring myself to watch Insurrection or Nemesis again, but I made it up through First Contact before I gave up. But I love the original cast and their movies. So Star Treks 2, 3, 4, and 6 are tied here at number 9. Now, at number 8, I love a good car chase movie. I love a good, action, adventure, thriller with lots of car chases and gunfights and all that sort of stuff. And of course, that means I like Bullet. I love this movie. But this is not my actual number 8. This is it almost made my list, but I had another action adventure car chase movie that edged it out. Ronin. John Frankenheimer directed, Robert De Niro stars. Yeah, I double checked to make sure it was John Frankenheimer, even though I knew it was John Frankenheimer. Robert De Niro does a wonderful performance. Can I say that? It's interesting to me because Robert De Niro, in any given scene, is simultaneously, on the one hand, completely believable, doing whatever it is he's doing, and on the other hand, obviously acting. I mean, I don't know how he pulls it off, but I can see. It's just like, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but it's almost like, okay, if I close my right eye, oh yeah, he's acting. If I close my left eye, oh no, that's the guy. He's actually become. Oh no, he's acting. Oh wait, he's become, right? I mean, I can't really explain it. It's a weird reaction I have to Robert De Niro's performance in this movie. I'm phrasing it as if it's a criticism, and it's not really, because I find it entertaining. It's just there's something about it that works, but at the same time glaringly doesn't. But it's still a wonderful movie, and oh my God, the car chases are fantastic. The story has a one of the better uses of a MacGuffin, as far as I'm concerned. You never really care what's in the case. We don't really care what's in the case. We don't need to know what's in the case. What's in the case is beside the point. I love it. Number 8 on my list is Ronin. Number 7 on my list. I have to be honest. There are a couple of things about this movie that are that I respond to that I don't know that other people will. I like this movie, I think, a lot more than most other people do. I like Ben Affleck a lot. I think he's a good actor. I think he's a very good director. He's good. The scripts that he's done are good. I mean, he's done a lot of really good work. And one of his movies that I have watched oh so many times, it's definitely a comfort food repeat watch movie, is The Accountant. Now, part of this is, for whatever reason, I like a good bloody action thriller. So yeah, I had Ronin and Bullet, and I've got The Accountant, and I'm not done because there are a couple more of them in here. Part of it is that he's playing a character who is on the autism spectrum, and I identify personally with that. But mostly, I think it's a good story, and it is well done. John Bernthal, fantastic. Ben Affleck, fantastic. J.K. Simmons, fantastic. A lot of good people in this. It's a good movie. And I've watched it 1,000 times. We'll watch it 1,000 more. Number 6. Okay. That was number 7. I'm sorry. Number 6, one of the things that I am drawn to in movies is, believe it or not, Foley work. Really good footstep sounds in a movie just go a long way towards making up for any other flaw that the movie might have. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Richard Burton, has, oh my God, it very opening scene when he's there waiting for the guy to come across from East Berlin to West Berlin, and he's walking up and down in front of the guard shack, hut, whatever the hell that thing is called. The crunchy gravel noise there is fantastic Foley work in that movie. One of the reasons why I love All the President's Men as much as I do is the Foley work. Particularly Robert Redford's I'm a sucker for footsteps, and his footsteps when he's meeting with Hal Holbrook's Deep Throat in the parking garages are, oh my God, those are good footsteps. This is one of those where I get caught up in the environment of the movie as much as I do the story of it. I love the newsroom. I love that set. I love those chairs. I remember those chairs. They were everywhere. Excuse me. I love the typewriters, and I love the fact that Robert Redford's character uses Flair felt tip pens, which I like using. A lot of little details in this movie that I very much enjoy. The movie itself is very good. The script is good. The direction is good. The acting is good. Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. Come on. But I love the little stuff. I love the tiny details, and because of those tiny details, I've watched this movie 1,000 times. All the President's Men, number 6. Okay, at number 5, I had to put in some Westerns, because I love Westerns, and I've got a 3-way tie here. It's not really a 3-way tie. It's 2 that I want to talk about, but 1 that actually wins. The 2 that I want to talk about are, I think, arguably the best modern Westerns. Now, they're not really modern. I mean, there are several I think they were both made in the 90s. I don't want to look it up. I don't want to put my glasses on so I can actually read the dates on the cases. So they're both old movies, but to me, when I say modern, I mean not something that John Wayne was in, right? And the two fantastic modern westerns are Tombstone and Silverado. And they're very different westerns. Tombstone is attempting to be a realistic western with things like costume decisions, stuff like that. Silverado is an homage to the 50s horse opera westerns, right? So they're two very different movies, and they're both wonderfully successful. The opening scene in Silverado, where Scott Glenn has the gunfight in the lean-to shack that's not a lean-to, it's standalone, but still, he's in that shack, and the guys are trying to sneak in to get him, and he's having the shootout, and he kills them all, and he comes out, and the camera follows him out of the shack, and then you see the vista. Oh man, that's just beautiful. It's beautifully filmed. Love Silverado. Love Kevin Kline. Danny Glover, fantastic. Tombstone. Oh my God, what can you say? I mean, it's one of the most quotable movies. I mean, I'm your Daisy. I mean, come on. Fantastic. You're a Daisy if you do. Sorry, got it wrong. Val Kilmer is wonderful playing the sickly, greasy Doc Holliday. Kurt Russell. Oh my God, I love Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is a wonderful actor because he's one of the few actors I can think of who can do both the nerd and the hero. James Stewart could do both. Kurt Russell does both. He does the nerd, Executive Decision, right? He's the nerd in that. He's not the action hero in that. He becomes the action hero, but he doesn't start out as the action hero. Soldier, he is the action hero. I mean, buffed up and everything. And, I mean, he's Kurt Russell. He's got the best hair in Hollywood, Love Kurt Russell. Love both of those movies and watch them regularly. But my favorite of these, of this particular trilogy, is Appaloosa. Ed Harris co-wrote the script. He directs it. He stars as Virgil Cole. I love Appaloosa. Based on a novel written by the Robert Parker, who was most famous for writing the Spencer series that became Spencer for Hire, which almost made my comfort food TV show list last week. It's a great Western. It's got a really good story to it. Jeremy Irons is wonderful as the villain. Love Appaloosa. It also has some nice humor. I love the fact it's a little throwaway detail. It comes up often enough that you recognize it, but it's underplayed, and that is that while Virgil is the better gunfighter than Viggo Mortensen's character, Everett Hitch, Virgil is the better gunfighter. Virgil is the better shot. He is the better man. But Everett is the more educated, the more intelligent. And so anytime Virgil is trying to find a word, he's trying to figure out he'll ask Everett, what's the word I'm looking for? And Everett will tell him. Or somebody uses a word and he doesn't know, he'll look at Everett and Everett will define the word for him. They have a relationship where it is neither one of them sees the fact that Everett is more educated than Virgil as in any way a hint that Everett is somehow better than Virgil. The same way that Virgil doesn't act like just because he's a better gunman that makes him better than Everett, right? It's a wonderful relationship that they have in this movie, and I very strongly recommend it if you have not seen it. Appaloosa, starring Ed Harris, Viggo Mortensen, Jeremy Irons. Wonderful movie. And it's number 5 on my list of comfort food movies. Okay. Number 4, we're back to the bloody car chase, gunfire-drenched movie, and that is I was talking about Ben Affleck a little while ago. Well, we also got to talk about Matt Damon. I love the Matt Damon Bourne movies. I love Jeremy Renner's Bourne Legacy as well. I love the whole series. The first time I watched The Bourne Identity, I was a little thrown by the shaky jitter cam. I've seen it enough now that I don't even notice the shaky jitter cam anymore. I don't like the shaky jitter cam, but I can process it now in a way that I found difficult first time I saw the movie. And I just, oh man, I've watched this whole series from Bourne Identity all the way up to Jason Bourne. I just plow through it, and then a few months later, plow through it again, and then a few months later, I plow through it again. Oh, talk about comfort food movies. I love the Bourne Identity and the other Bourne movies, but the placeholder here is the Bourne Identity. And while we're talking about every once in a while I got to plow through it, of course, I have got to plow through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've seen the Avengers more times than I care to count. I think it is one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. Iron Man, one of the best comic book movies I've ever seen. So flip a coin, pick one to be the number 3 here. I don't care which one you pick because they're both going to qualify. When I plow my way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I watch the Iron Man movies, I watch the Avengers, I watch the Captain America movies, I watch the Ant-Man movies, and that's pretty much it. I don't tend to watch the Thor movies. Nothing against them, they don't grab me. And I don't tend to rewatch the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I've never understood the appeal of Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't understand the appeal of the comic book, and I don't fully get why the movies are as popular as they are. For my money, they are the bottom rung. Oh well, no, the Eternals are the bottom rung, but you know they're pretty far down on the list as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes. But Iron Man, the Avengers, oh man, I can't get enough of that stuff. I love those movies, and I've got them at number 3 on my list. Okay, number 2. Now, we're in the holiday season here. There is some discussion out there in the world as to whether or not a certain movie, I'm going to back up here a little bit because I just realized it's not in shot. There we go. You're not sure what that is? That's my Nakatomi Tower Advent calendar. It's not really an Advent calendar. It's just mark off the days to Christmas, and you slide Hans Gruber down the outside of the building. Because I believe that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Die Hard 2 is a Christmas movie. Enemy of the State, I think, is a Christmas movie, right? These movies, they're set at Christmas. There's Christmas stuff in there, so yeah, they're Christmas movies. One of my favorite Christmas movies, 3 Days of the Condor. I love this movie. Robert Redford is wonderful. Max von Sydow. Sydow. Max is wonderful as Jobert. Cliff Robertson, even though his hair bugs me, but still, he doesn't have Kurt Russell hair, no. But still, it's a wonderful movie, and it's set at Christmas, so it's a Christmas movie. I love the movie. I love the movie so much that it encouraged me to track down the book it was based on, 6 Days of the Condor, by, I can't remember his name. I'll put a crawl down here with his name. It's probably written on here, but I can't possibly see it. Can I see it? James Grady. Oh my God, I was able to read it. I liked it so much that I tracked down a copy of the book it was based on, 6 Days of the Condor by James Grady, and read that and enjoyed that. There is available on MGM Plus. I've accessed it on Amazon Prime. I'm sure there are other places where you can get it. But there is a series titled Condor that is loosely based on both the original book and the movie 3 Days of the Condor. It's a modern updating of the story, and in the series they have very nice throwbacks to the scenes and events in the movie, even though it's not. It's in no way a sequel or anything. I mean, it's a reimagining of the basic storyline. But I love 3 Days of the Condor. Great movie. Great movie. But my number one also features Robert Redford. I have seen this movie, again, more times than I can count, and would happily watch it right now. I could put pause on the record here. I could go out in my living room. I could pop this thing into the DVD player and be happy watching it. I can't get. The last time I saw it was probably a couple of months ago, which means I'm due, because I watched this thing. Oh my God, I have seen Sneakers so many times, I can't even begin to tell you. I can't even begin to estimate it. Love this movie. I love the cast. I love Robert Redford again. Evidently, I like Robert Redford. But we also have Dan Aykroyd in a relatively serious role. We've got David Strathairn. Oh my gosh. Have I got his name right? Yes. Had to check that. River Phoenix. Good. Sidney Poitier. Oh my God. James Earl Jones. Oh my God. Wonderful. Wonderful movie. Mary McDonnell. I don't want to forget her. Great movie. I love Sneakers. Yeah, it's not realistic. I don't care. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for comfort food. I'm looking for something that makes me feel secure, that makes me feel like all is right with the world. And Sneakers does that. All of these movies do that. These are my comfort food movies. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there other movies, now that you've seen my list, that you think I should include? Drop those comments down below. I always love hearing from you. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you'd click the like button. While you're down there clicking, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you have not already done so. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me, so I thank you very much for it. While you're clicking that subscribe button, go ahead and click the bell for notifications. The YouTube folks appreciate that, so on their behalf, I thank you. Thanks again. How many times can I thank you here? Thanks again for hanging out with me today, and I hope the rest of your day is glorious. I'll see you soon.